Hello guys, and welcome to my channel. I'm filming on Stanford's campus today, and the topic for us today would be comparing Stanford to Harvard and to MIT. So if you're in the process of choosing the university that you want to apply to in the States, please continue watching this video. Even if you're applying to lower ranking universities, you still know these three big names, and if you feel confident that you have the best grades and you really want the best from your education, it's worth comparing these three universities. Now, the first thing you need to consider is the ranking of your program. Because if we look at medicine, for example, Harvard would be the first, Stanford would be the second, but MIT wouldn't even be in top 10. And the situation would be different for other subjects like physics and mathematics. So really know your program, explore the subjects that you want to study, and choose the university according to the ranking and according to the program specifics. For me, the best university ranking website is usnews.com because you have access to information about the university's acceptance rate, financial need, satisfaction, and then average salary after graduation. So I would use that source, but also feel free to Google the programs and, like, for example, bachelor's in medicine plus ranking, and you will see different rankings and different opinions. The second thing that you need to pay attention to is how you're going to finance your program. Now, the top American universities are the most expensive ones, but also they're the most generous, so they provide a lot of financial aid to their students. And if we look, for example, at Stanford and Harvard, they are financial need blind, which means that you can apply even you have like $0 in your account, but if you're talented enough, if you're hardworking enough and you get accepted, they're gonna cover all the costs that you're gonna have, which is pretty cool, right? So I was at this Harvard meeting and they told me, like, hey, we haven't had any student at Harvard who got accepted but then declined the offer because he didn't have enough money. And I think this is pretty cool. So they give a lot of opportunities for talented people from lower income backgrounds. And if we're talking about Harvard and Stanford, this is also true for international students. Okay, third thing, very important for me, climate. So I'm in Stanford campus right now. It's February, middle of February, and I'm just wearing this light coat, and many people are wearing dresses, like these girls, beautiful. And the sun is shining, and winter is pretty much like this in California. Just about 2 months ago in December, I was visiting Boston and I was visiting MIT and Harvard, and it was around 0 degrees Celsius, and I basically froze. Like, I'm from Russia, I know what cold is. In Russia we have like -20, but in Boston the climate is so humid. It's so hard. It was really hard for me to survive in 0 degrees Celsius there because I basically couldn't breathe, and I saw people wearing scarves covering their face because they tried to warm up their breath. So it's really up to you. So I am better performing when it's warm. This is why I live in California, because sun really gives me energy to you know, perform better, to do a lot of things during the day. But some people find it harder to work in the sun because if you live close to the ocean, for example, if you're looking at UCLA, for example, and you have this ocean, 5-minute walk from campus or whatever, you want to go and spend the whole day swimming. For some people it's better to live in a really harsh climate, and then they would, you know, spend the whole day at home working on their projects, which is also pretty good. Fourth thing, look at program specifics. For example, there is MBA program in Harvard, Stanford and MIT, but they are completely different. They have different concentrations and different subjects, different teachers. What surprised me in a good way in MIT, for example, that you can actually do your own startup instead of your summer internship. So you'll receive scholarship to grow your company, and then you can become part of there's entrepreneurship center and grow your company even further, which is pretty cool if you don't want to become involved with the corporate world. And also, talking about the subjects, you can always look at the curriculum, you can always look at the subjects that are core that you have to take, but there are also loads and loads of things you can learn voluntarily, so you can choose some path during your course and take the subjects that you want to learn. Like, for example, I'm an entrepreneur, and Stanford has a lot of entrepreneurship courses, which is pretty cool. The fifth thing that you need to consider is where the alumni work and what is the alumni network. So for example, Stanford is considered to be entrepreneurial university, and many graduates go on to work in the VC world, becoming investors, running their own companies, starting their own startups. If we talk about Harvard, main politicians came out of Harvard and a lot of people from Wall Street. So these are like stereotypes of alumni who are coming from these universities. Of course, there are other talented people in different spheres. And if you take MIT, for example, there are a lot of people who study their research in MIT and then continue it, because MIT has amazing research facilities, especially in medicine or biotechnology or space engineering. I've been to this media lab at MIT and they're doing all of the robots, and this is so exciting. Like, you feel that innovation is happening there. Choosing a university is a really important decision and it's going to affect your life, so take most out of your application process, out of your preparation process, and the best thing to do is to come to the States and visit the universities yourself. And actually it's gonna help you with your application process. Not like help, but it will be a bonus, because every university asks, have you been to our campus? If yes, how did you hear about us? So they really appreciate it if you come and take your time and spend a day on campus. If you don't have this opportunity, there are plenty of events that are held online. So loads of webinars where you can ask questions, and there are also roadshows. So I have seen Harvard and Stanford and MIT visiting my country, and I've been to a couple of events, really useful, again, because you get to know people, you get to know the atmosphere. And sometimes you just have this feeling that one university is right for you and one is not. For example, honestly, like when I was at this Harvard event, I really felt that Harvard is not something that I would choose. Well, I'm not really choosing anything. It's just there was something I felt wrong about me being in Harvard. But for example, in Stanford, I feel like I'm at home. Again, maybe it's affected by climate, I don't know. So guys, please make this decision. Okay guys, the last thing, I'm showing you these wonderful flowers in the back. I wanted to remind you that if you're applying to top universities, you would also need to have around 4 or 5 universities on your list that are safe, because the admission rate, depending on the program, varies from 5% to maybe to 14% maximum. So really make sure that you're safe, that you have other options, and do your best preparing your application, do your best writing your motivation letter, and show to these universities that they would become even better after they admit you. All of the best with your application. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and like this video. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. Thank you so much for watching this up to the very end. Bye bye.